There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.
Whoa is right, and whoa is me. And I am so happy to have Rick Macci, and you'll find why the rhyme and the tone is so important today. We are blessed, as always, to be here at SoFi Stadium for Game Set Life. It's with Macci and Meltzer, the dynamic duo from Ohio. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Great to see you. Hey, Tuesday afternoon is my fave because it's Game Set Life with Rick and Dave. So I'm already pumped up, ready to go. But before you dive in, I got to back the truck up to this morning. I was just telling my daughter, listen to this. On court number 6, it was like 5:30, pitch dark. And I go out there to set all the balls up for the academy. And the back gate is open. I left it open because we had a chain on it so we could go out and get the balls because there's a big lake behind it. And I go on the court. There's a baby gator on the court. I thought it was a racket bag. I almost picked this up. And you know me, I brand everybody. Like Jennifer Capriati was the generator. The Williams sisters were the Compton Comets. Sophia Kennan, okay, her name was Sonic Boom. So I had to brand the alligator. So you know what the nickname is, right?
What is it? Give it to me.
Alligator, because he's on the side of the court. So had to get that out of the way. I opened up the gate, let him back out. He went into the lake. So life is great and the gator's happy.
Yeah, you got some odd experiences there in Florida, but certainly championship status. Give me a little update. You've been sending a lot of great videos to me and posting some great videos as well. You know, very rarely do we talk about tennis. We talk about game, set, and life, sometimes with a few tennis analogous stories. But, you know, obviously you have your finger on the pulse of tennis. What are some of the things today that we should be looking out for on the tour? What's going on the women's tour and or the men's tour that are notable in your years of experience?
First off, I love this question because this is in my wheelhouse, okay? Because I've been around the block on this. Yeah, you got Iga Swiatek from Poland, #1 in the world. A while back, she won 35 matches in a row. And I tell everybody, you win 35 of anything. I don't care if it's marbles, tiddlywinks. You're good at something, okay? She's the real deal. She's the leader in the clubhouse. She's dominating. Okay, there's a few others. Rybakina, okay? She's kind of in the mix now. Same with Sabalenka. So there could be a rivalry there, but Swiatek has been dominating. And it will be interesting to see how that all plays out in the future. On the men's side, what's crazy, 3 years ago, I said, David, I never saw a young man, a generational talent like Carlos Alcaraz, okay? I never saw it, okay? His makeup speed is like no other. Once he starts running, bang, it's like turbo on steroids. But here's the wild card. And anybody watching this, the guy has the best drop shot, okay, of anybody. And I tell everybody, listen, that started at 6, 7, 8. You fail, you miss, you try. You got to have the right coach that doesn't discourage that. Because when you miss a drop shot, it's like, what are you doing, you knucklehead? That's a low percentage shot. But he does it on break point. He puts the opponent in the freezer just to show you how valuable his style has become. He's changing how people teach the game. You talk about the ripple, you know, he's changing how people teach it. It's okay to drop shot because, you know, when you're #1 or you're the #1 guy, it's a copycat thing. It's okay to drop shot now. And not only around the world, people are teaching this a lot more and injecting it into people's games. People on the Pro Tour saying, listen, I got to get a few more tools in my toolbox. And I never saw so many drop shots in Madrid and the Italian Open as I did this past week on Tennis Channel. It's crazy how he's changed the game. But this is a very unique individual, because you got kind of Djokovic, Nadal, Federer. They're kind of, out the door a little bit there. And you got this Alcaraz guy who's not going anywhere. He's not going undefeated, but he is the real deal. I haven't seen anything like it, David, in 30 years. And I saw Federer, Nadal, Djokovic at the same age. He could be special if he doesn't get hurt, because he stops on the court like a Mercedes. I mean, this guy can change directions like I never seen.
Yeah, he
said we got Sinner, this kid from Italy that's going to be in there. He's the real deal. Rune from Denmark, he's going to be in there. And even though people haven't heard of him, Sebastian Korda, I think the next great American. Okay, he's been hurt a little bit. Great pedigree. Both the parents played on the Pro Tour, so he's going to get into the mix. But pro tennis on the men and women, live and kicking well.
Yeah, I was going to say he can stop on a dime and pick it up too. That's how much he has, which is amazing. You can use that one-liner at the Rick Macy repertoire. I was blessed to work for a legend like you, and his name was Lee Steinberg, and he ran the most notable sports agency in the world and hired me as his CEO, not because I was a great lawyer or had great sports acumen in the world of agentry, but my technology background. He saw a great benefit with the future of sports and technology, and that I could apply what I learned in business and law and sports to his firm and the profession, as he too, like you, was a huge innovator, which landed him in the Hall of Fame just the same way you're in the Hall of Fame. When I talk with you, one of the most interesting things and attracts me to you is that you're not just tennis centric. That you apply what you learned from tennis the same way I apply what I learned in technology and business to other things, which adds an exponential value to give it a different perspective that no one would have. For example, like, practicing the drop shot would give tennis its own thing. And when we were talking about my son playing golf, you said, Dave, we could apply a lot of the things that I know to golf. So I was wondering, if you could list out 2 or 3 things that you can apply what you've learned in tennis to either other sports like golf or just to life in general.
Well, first off, I love the question. There's so many common threads, and we'll get to that later. But listen, the number one thing, not only in life, but sports, is having the ability to remember to forget. Okay, everybody wants to study, learn more, prepare. I get it. Have the knowledge. People don't practice enough on forgetting. When things go bad, or you make a mistake, or your son hits that ball into the woods or the sand or the water, he has to still keep the belief, because we have this feeling go through our body. So, and it's like the quarterback. If he throws a pick, is he going to go back in there and keep that belief? Or is he going to dump it off to the halfback, Austin Eckler, instead of going downfield? So, I think that would be one of the biggest things of everything. And then this will never change. The best of all the rest, they outwork the competition. I've never heard anybody say, yeah, I just ended up being great, or I ended up in the Hall of Fame. They don't give those things out. You know what I mean? You got to have a passion and a work ethic. So those would be the 2 very basic things. But I think the mental part, okay, from the neck up, that's the difference. And then the positivity. Obviously, that people don't realize. They look on the outside, 6'4", 225, can throw the ball 80 yards. But the mental part, staying positive, keeping the belief, and that's what separates great from good.
I love it. And they always say that if you want to be great, it starts with hard. If you want to be amazing, it starts with impossible. And having that mindset, I also will add that beyond forgetting is also the capability of forgiving. And we always in sports have to forgive ourselves always. In football, one of the things is I still am blessed to do a little bit of commentary with some great sports analysis champions. I always say, if you want to win, there's two things you have to realize. You have to win with injuries in the NFL and bad calls. And the minute I see a team blaming bad calls or injuries for the reason they can't win, I know they can't win because the great coaches like Belichick, he's already put into account, this is how we're going to win when injuries occur. This is how we're going to win when bad calls come out, because both are given that need to be forgiven and forgotten using the Macci magic. And we're blessed to have the Macci magic here. Rick, we're going to have an incredible guest coming on in a few minutes, Dane Cook, obviously movie star, comedian, incredible speaker. Most comedians I know, Rick, we were with John Lovitz last night. Most comedians are very, very intelligent and quick people. So I love to be around comedians because they think almost as quickly as the Macci magic. But I got a question online here for you. Is that okay if I give it to you?
Yeah, fire.
And they're picking them for me. I was going to pick my own. So I don't know who just did that. Anyway, what talent, they just unpicked it again. What talent beyond raw technical skill does one need to become that once in a lifetime leader? And how do you coach your performers to handle all that comes with that responsibility?
Well, I think the first thing, and I just kind of touched upon it, I think if you're going to be any type of role model or a leader, okay, you got to lead by example. And that's kind of what has worked for me. David, I've never sat down on the tennis court in 30 years. How crazy is that? Because not that I couldn't, but, and those little nuggets, one word changes a child's life, or just by example, or the positivity. I'm just constantly giving this. And I think you can't say, you got to be in shape or you got to be on time if you're showing up 20 minutes late and you're making excuses and so on and so forth. I think when you lead by example and you don't say anything, I think that just radiates, especially with young kids, because the brain's not fully developed yet with a lot of these young kids. So I would think that's the one thing, lead by example. Okay. And that's the best leader of all time. And I think no excuses. This is the problem in our society. The kids are a little soft. They're kind of spoiled at times. No excuses. Just try to lead your life with no excuses. You feel better when you blame others, but when you don't blame anybody and you take responsibility, your mind gets stronger.
And to that same thing, someone's asking you and I, what's another personal characteristic when looking for a coaching client? I'll take this one first because the coaching I do in the business world is different because we have less limitations than on the court or the field, right? There's a physical and a time expiration that exists where the one thing I love about coaching people in business or the entrepreneurial space or branding or speaking is that I got a lot more runway than Rick Macci. See, Rick knows that there's, even to the greatest Serena, that she had an expiration date and that eventually there's no more coaching that's going to put her at the top. But in business, it's unlimited and forever. Orville Redenbacher, I don't know if you know this, Rick, he started his popcorn company at 70. Wow. Unless things change, there's no tennis player that's going to start.
Wait, so what you're saying at 70, he even got butter.
He got butter, exactly. But the personal characteristic that I look for in a coaching client is truly to be more interested than interesting, and meaning that there's a desire that they must be what they can be, and they'll learn every single thing that they can. And if you tell them, that you need to do these things every day for 10 minutes, they're going to do those things for 10 minutes. And, I find a lot of people, they go the extra mile every once in a while. They'll put 3, 4, 5, 6 hours on a Saturday and then not put in the work the rest of the week and then justify why they're not where you want them to be because they put so many hours in on a Saturday. So I look for people that actually have that desire that they must be what they can be, and they're willing to every day consistently, persistently pursue their best.
Yeah. Well, first off, that's definitely the wild card. One of the things I never talk about, I certify hundreds and hundreds of coaches around the world. They come in, they get on the court with me. They see the good, the bad, the ugly. They see an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, 50-year-old guy, someone on the pro tour, and they see this medley of what I do with everybody, and they're kind of blown away. And I tell them the smartest coach is very smart because he knows he's not that smart. It's a continual education, and you got to care about others more than yourself. Okay, that's very, very important. People can feel that. And I feel that's how you extract greatness. And a lot of people that I've helped out, that I could see those qualities, good spirited, fun loving, just love what they do. When I look back and see what they're doing now, they've become very successful.
And you've seen great successes that have come from great challenges as well. We don't also talk about it. I think we have time for a quick question, Rick, because Dane will be on here in the next 2 minutes. But we don't talk about your career. And, I joke around about my football career. I used to tell people I was an average Division III football player until I had my Division III football coach on one of my shows. And he said, look, let's just be honest. You're probably a little bit below average, Dave. But that's why we're so proud of you. Because we obviously taught you something on a field that's different. But your mindset when you were playing, you reached a point in your career as a professional that you probably realized that you weren't going to be the best in the world. And you decided to turn your eyes in your profession from being the greatest tennis player that you could be to the greatest tennis coach in history. Every athlete has 2 deaths. And no matter what level you're at, you have the death when you stop playing your favorite sport. And then, of course, when your heart stops, that's the second one. When you came to that realization, what I call your first death, and realized that your tennis playing career was going to end, talk me through that mindset of, making that decision that enough was enough and that you were going to move to the coaching side, not just the playing side.
Well, first off, when I backed the truck up again, when I picked up that racket at 12 years old in Greenville, Ohio, never had a lesson, became number 1 in the Ohio Valley by 18. That's some heavy duty stuff. So that shows you the wiring, from my mom, or just being brought up and having to earn it, and playing basketball, fortunate to be in the Hall of Fame for that, and just being a great competitor, more on the mental side and the athletic side. But to be a world-class player, you needed world-class technique. But I knew that early on, around 22, and I just loved helping others. And I said, listen, I have all this ability to help others, and my goal someday is to be one of the best coaches in the world. So that was at 22, and here we are at 68. I'm still hanging in there. So I love the question.
Yeah, and you have just as much hair at 68 that you had at 22. So you have me beat there as well. I got a real quick one because I from Colleen here. How do you handle criticism or negative comments from fans or the media? How do you handle that now that you're a media star in your own brand?
Well, I don't really get into the social media. I think it's more important what you think of you than what others think of you. Everybody's entitled to opinion. And I'm sure Dane's going to chime in on that because he's had a lot of haters, and he's a comeback kid. So, no, I look at it also as a compliment. When people are noticing you, you must be doing something right. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I take it with a grain of salt, but I also take it sometimes I got to get better. I listen to everything. Okay. So I hear it, but I also can look at it like, I got to maybe get better in this area. I could have done better. And I always try to get better every day. So criticism is good. I like people to criticize me. Not a lot. I'll take the 90% good. But Dave, I love criticism. I don't want people telling me I'm the best, I'm good, I'm this, I'm that. That's great once in a while. I think everybody likes that. But at the end of the day, and I've told you this many times, I feel I got to get better. And the best thing, the way I feel I got to get better because the best is yet to come.
It certainly is. And I will tell you, when it comes to the haters and the criticism, my favorite saying or mindset of that is what other people think of you is none of your business. What they think is something you want to learn about, but what they think of you is none of your business. And I always like that. And I do take criticism like a handful of sand. I grab it all, I take in the criticism, and I let the ones that don't resonate with me fall through my fingers with no impact or no effect. But I do hold on, like you, to the grains of sand that resonate. As hard as it is to look within and to be honest with ourselves, when someone brings up a point, usually it's when it hurts your feelings the most. You know it's true, and so you want to work on it the most. So I always enjoy that. Another question I haven't seen. I like this one. Does the mindset of tennis differ than other sports?
Well, yeah, the sport obviously is very different, but it's the same. It's the exact same thing. You gotta love pressure. You gotta love the big moments. There's a lot of movement involved. You got to outwork the competition. No, the mindset is the same. The only difference with tennis, okay, playing singles, it's all about you. That's kind of like boxing. You're going to win because of you or lose. You can't blame your teammates. You don't have 11 other guys or 10 other guys or 4 other guys. So it's a little bit different. It's all on you. And that's why I feel tennis, you got to be mentally, David, so strong. You got to be strong in everything. But tennis is brutal. 20 seconds to flip it in your mind like it happened 20 years ago. Because if you're in the past, you're going to get past.
I always count on the one-liners. I was going to say, I see a great differentiator in doubles. And that's only from playing doubles with my wife, that I've never seen a sport where there's so much blame. I get blamed for everything, Rick. With the ball, and then she has all these weird terms that she uses, and I thought she meant let it go, and it meant actually get it. I don't even understand, but there's a unique communication that occurs when you're playing doubles that I haven't experienced in any other sport, where you both look at each other. And I've seen it on the courts at our country club by many couples where they look at each other, and you wonder if the marriage is going to make it through the set.
First off, you brought up doubles. I talk about this all the time with the kids, because when the kids miss a shot or a player misses a shot, they react a certain way. But in doubles, when they miss a shot, they go high-five the other person. They give a hug and a kiss, and it's gone. It's like, boom, that emotion's out the back door. And that's why some people are better in doubles and singles, because mentally they can't problem solve and they can't handle it. So it's like 2 different sports, singles and doubles, just on the court with you.
And, watching the movie King Richard, I was thinking about how hard Serena and Venus worked. And in the movie, they portrayed an unbelievable work ethic, which you told me was part of the deadly formula with the genetic jackpot and everything else. We got Dane Cook coming on 1 second, but can you actually overtrain in tennis? Can you overtrain?
Yeah, you can definitely overtrain, because here's the problem. It's such a technical sport based on science, especially when you're young, and the biomechanics. You can overcook the muscle memory, extra crispy, and get into a bad habit, which could be hard to reverse engineer down the road. So you don't want to do too much, but the mental part, it has to come from you. When it comes from you, not only physically will you get better, but mentally you're going to get stronger.
Well, above it all stands one person today on Game Set Life, and he is one of my newest friends. You meet some people, Rick, like when you and I met, and it's just, we're speaking at the same frequency. We resonate so much and so well together. I think he might be from Ohio, but he hasn't admitted it yet. We got him cooking in the green room right now. Everybody, the incredible, the world famous, successful favorite of mine, Dane Cook. Welcome to Game Set Life.
David, great to see you. Rick, how are you, man?
Good. Dane, what's cooking? Did you get that? I thought I'd throw a little comedy back at you.
You're going to open for me this weekend. Get ready.
He's going to start Mrs. Maple. That's kind of the genre of comedy that Rick Macy brings to the house. We're we're going back old school comedy, way back to Miss Maisel. He'll be starring on HBO specials, but you're in for a treat, Dane, because I do so many shows, as you know, but nobody gives an introduction like Rick Macy. So sit back, enjoy. Let's go through the common threads. Introduction of Rick Macy.
All right. So Dane, we have, everybody's been on the show, athletes, motivational speakers, but there's all kinds of common threads, as you know, going down the yellow brick road, the game of life. We got all these common threads. So here we go. Number one, you're unreal funny, Energizer Bunny, Alvin made money. Okay. Delicious honey, Cambridge, mostly sunny. Serena, scary bunny, opponents look funny, toasted, well done-y. She won-y, crazy money, Rick got noney. All right. Number three, Lee Steinberg's best, dated a bun, no, none, delicious fun, always on the run, never done, tons of mun. Number two, common thread, you're quick with a joke, no coke, smoke or toke, smooth stroke, always poke, audience never croak. Compton's finest, we're no joke, never choke, ballistic stroke, opponents cry, say oh my, die, goodbye. Number three, DM is a joker, great at poker, changes a life, sharp as a knife, can even calm down your wife. Number three, you make the world cry, sharp guy, no tie, crowd die, no lie, humor dry. Serena laughed, played better, took all the cheddar, better than Federer. Opponents got cease and desist letter. Okay. Financial guru is a go-getter, a sweater, no regretter, and his life is better with a sunsetter. Okay. Number four, the last common thread, you're bigger, go figure, quick trigger, unreal wit, epic spit, huge hit, you never quit, okay, but you like to talk shit, okay. Number two, Serena pulled the trigger, always went bigger, crowd laugh, even staff, super fit, popped a serve like a zit, okay. The last one, David is one of a kind, hard to find, happy smile, empty mile, a Swiss Army knife, DC, welcome, game, set, life. Showtime.
Wow. I wish Rick, the only thing that would have made that great is if you were muted by mistake the whole time.
Yeah.
I like that. You trumped me. He trumped me. I like that.
and the only thing you missed was during the header. I grew up with an Irish setter. I was going to throw that in there as well.
All right,
nice.
there you go.
Very cool.
You, comedians are the sharpest, quickest people that I know, and every single one of them, the successful ones, think on their toes, as fast and as big as my nose. So we got Dane Cook here. Dean, your career has been extraordinary, and yet you have so much more to do. There's a lot of comedians that seem to do the same thing over. A lot of them in Vegas. They're doing the same show I saw 20 years ago, except for a little bit more tempered because of Me Too and the cancel culture. They've toned it down even further. And those are some of the world's best. But what my favorite thing about you is you're constantly growing. You're looking for new ways and new things to do. So wanted to kind of start with that. Where has the changes truly occurred? What do you see for yourself coming up next with your special? Are there some things in the world that excite you that are beyond just the stand-up routine?
Oh, I mean, I'm a curious individual. And I think that of course is the cornerstone of good stand-up. Observe and report. And you're kind of always on the pivot looking for real life and what's funny about it, right? So for me, I think that in a time when, like you mentioned, comedy seems to be kind of on its heels, but I think that when you connect with people in the way that lets everybody know I'm like you, two things are happening at all times with everybody in your audience, everybody listening right now. You feel a little lost, a little unsure. You're not exactly dialed in, but you feel like there's something coming, right? That coupled with the belief in yourself, the idea that you have purpose in this world and how you could be a contributing member of your community. Those things are always swirling around. And if you let your audience know that you're going through the same breakdown moments and high watermark moments, They will stay with you, even if you slip up, even if you say something goofy that might put you on the, put you on the target. If there's no malice, if you're good at heart, you'll weather those storms, but you got to keep going for that dream constantly. And that's what I've done for 32 years.
First off, I love that because it's from the heart. And David, that's what we talked about earlier. I mean, that's coaching. That's like a mentor, but he's connecting people. And when they're there, they're not going to leave you when there's a little speed bump. I love that answer. Love that.
Thank you. I mean, very different from when you first start stand-up comedy. It's only people leaving you. I used to say that the early, years of any stand-up comedy that, you may have grown up loving, what people don't realize is when you start the comedy career, it's for the most part, this is the feeling that you get walking out the door to every gig during your formative years. Nobody cares that you're coming, and they don't care when you leave. And there's a lot of years of that where you just got to batten down the hatches and do the work, put in, as we all know, the 10,000 hours, put in the belief, the self-belief, self-actualizing. But for a long time, and certainly in my career, you're unknown. I'll tell you one more quick thing. There was a great headlining comic out of Boston many, many years ago. He wasn't a national mainstream guy, but he was pretty solid in New England. And I was about 3 or 4 years into my career. And again, keep in mind, I am nobody at this point. I'm just trying to get stage time wherever I can. And he said to me, he goes, what are your goals, Dane Cook? And I remember I said, I want to be a household name. And he goes, well, then you should change your name to Scrubby Bubbles.
Well, the same thing happens in the speaking realm, right? It takes years where they care if you're coming or care if you're going. But I thought of you yesterday, Dane. I have always said that comedians are perfect at dissipating pain, and it makes you a great corporate speaker as well. Dane takes his comedy, but also sends lessons and stories and great messages, understanding pain and purpose. But yesterday was a hard day. We're looking at assisted living facilities for my mom, who's 80. And this is a very painful situation. But I couldn't stop thinking about having you two today and sharing the show, because and my siblings hate this about me, but in very painful situations, I was molested when I was little, or I just use comedy to ease the pain. And so my mom gets to this assisted, and she does not want to go, right? We've had the Jewish guilt of, I might as well just die, and so it's like really painful. And I'm going through the assisted living spaces, which Rick down there in Florida sees all the time. But literally, she all of a sudden, it's like everything sucks, the kosher food and this, and then she hears the tiles of Maj, right? And all of a sudden, she goes from suicide to, oh my God, Maj. And like everything that sucked, it would just, all you would have to do is tell my mom when we're wheeling her around the house, right? But there's Maj. Oh, Maj. And I'm thinking to myself, I could do such a great stand-up routine about this, depressed older lady with the genre, and just like, and I'm really sorry, we're gonna have to amputate your leg, you have Alzheimer's, and I think we have a case of COVID. You're probably not gonna make it to the end of the week, but there's Maj. And and I had to say that because you're someone who utilizes the comedy as well to ease pain. How much is that personal besides entertainment for others?
Oh my goodness, man. It's like the ultimate coping mechanism right there. It casts light in dark spots in your life. If you can either be laughter for somebody else or appreciate it. I'm a firm believer it excites your immune system, not just a dopamine hit in a few minutes I think that it lights up your entire body, laughter. And especially when you're laughing and you realize whether it's a small community of people, your family around you, or a large group, when you're all laughing together, it's truly, it sounds a little corny, but it's kind of magical to think we're all in this room. Everybody's got hardships. Everybody's got pain in real time, but we can all laugh together in unison at a funny notion. So I think it's probably one of the most important factors of how I communicate, is trying to find those ways to laugh through the tough stuff.
Absolutely. You talk about tough stuff, David. We were talking about Alcaraz. He loses a 20-ball rally and he'll laugh about it. At the Italian Open, it's how you handle pressure. the ability to flip it in your mind. But Dane, what I want to do is back the truck up to Arlington High School, okay,
Yeah.
Bunker Hill College. I want you to start from the beginning, kind of tell everybody how this all started and the speed bumps along the way. And right now you're rolling.
Okay, cool. So I'll do the lightning speed round formative years, which was fresh out of high school, knew I wanted to do stand-up comedy, was really trepidatious, had a lot of self-esteem issues, certainly was an introvert, and the last person you probably would have thought could have the confidence to stand up on stage and hold a microphone in my hand. I was a Catch Rising Star in Cambridge, always sunny, kind of. And I was sitting at the Catch Rising Star in 1990. And the host of the show had a list of the names of the people that had signed up for what would be an open mic night. And you would sign up, you would show up the next week, and if you called your name off, you were on the show. And if you didn't call your name, they didn't pick you. So I was sitting there watching the show. I did not sign up because I was too scared. And he got to the third name on the show, and he said, "Where's Ernest Glenn?" And there was about 3 seconds of nothing. And I realized Ernest Glenn didn't show up. So I put my hand up, and he pointed at me. He goes, "You're Ernest Glenn?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know him all the way from the 5th row. Please welcome Ernest Glenn." And that's the first night I ever had the ability. I wasn't scared because I didn't have time to be, but I ended up on stage. I did 5 minutes of stand-up. And I remember when I left the stage, Rick, I literally ran on Mass Avenue in Cambridge. I found a payphone, pre-cell phone, called my mom, and I said, "This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life." And that was the beginning.
Hey.
That's incredible. And, to that end, do you still get that same level of excitement? You've done so many movies. You have all types of different projects going on. I'm very excited about what you're doing in gaming. You're revolutionizing and innovating comedy into gaming like nobody I've ever seen. And I can't wait for people to see even more of you. But do you get that same, we have cell phones today, but run down Inglewood Avenue to go call your mom? Like, this is amazing.
I do, because I love recalibrating. And I think that in life, it's exciting to have two things. If you can have the ability to have some spotlight on you, not quite literally as a performer, but let's say as a person who has found some success. And when that spotlight hits you again, after you've integrated that success into community, into your branding, or into your consumers, fans, clients. Once you have that, you need to share that spotlight. So it's really about, at that point, who can I then bring into that moment for me and say, here are some other individuals that I'd love to give a shot at getting to know my audience, and vice versa. Always good for my audience. I get to know some people that might be outside of my realm that young performer or entrepreneur is bringing into the conference room, so to speak. So I'm always looking at new ways to excite myself with recalibrating my life and career, putting new energy and creativity into something. But how can I share with the community? How can I mentor somebody? How can I find a way to take my moment and make it our moment?
No, first off, I love that, but I gotta back the truck up once again.
Yes.
This Ernest guy that you stole his driver's license that night, does he get a percentage of what's going on in your life? I mean, Ernest, he flipped the whole script for your career. If he'd have showed up, who knows? We probably wouldn't be here right now.
Rick, I will tell you, I promise you, I have for years, whether it was going through Facebook or trying to look him up one way or the other, I did try to find him for years and years. I wanted to thank him and say, hey, you not showing up that night provided me the opportunity to start my career. But I have yet to find Ernest Glenn. If anybody knows Ernest Glenn from Massachusetts, please hit me up.
But at least you were earnest. So that's all that matters.
That is true. That's true.
Well, I know Lou Gehrig got reached out to Wally Pipp throughout his career to thank him for not showing up and allowing him to play first base for the Yankees. So that worked out for him as well. So Ernest is far less well known. Now, we talked about being above it all, and you have an inspirational new special. Is that correct, coming out?
Yeah, so Above It All has been out for a few months, and
Okay.
it's on all the major platforms. I'm currently working on the follow-up to that, but what I'm really excited to share with everybody is we've been filming a documentary this last 3 or 4 months. We'll continue through the fall, and it's a documentary, I think, unlike any other, where it explores not only my philosophy coming up as a self-loathing wallflower introvert who ended up standing on stage at Madison Square Garden. How did I do it? what the belief system, the manifesting, the willpower, the therapy, and then of course the failures, the capsizing moments. I've had more than my share, but they're worth it when you get to get back up, hold that microphone, and hear that roar of laughter. So I hope that we're going to make a documentary that brings a lot of laughs and maybe even a couple of tears.
Love it.
No. First off, I know he sold out Madison Square Garden, one of the few comedians that's ever done that. That's beyond epic, and there's speed bumps along the way, but you're here and you're rocking and rolling. That's all that matters. It's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Very, very true. Yep.
And you've had a unique experience with Saturday Night Live. We'll finish off there because it's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
You've hosted it twice, but you actually had a chance to be on the show, but talk about not showing. What happened with Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, so in 1994, I was a struggling comic just working in the village of New York City. I would commute back and forth from Boston because I couldn't even really afford to live in New York. So a lot of back and forth, a lot of late night shows. You don't get the prime spots when you're coming up in New York. For example, you want to be on that 9 or 10 o'clock show. I was doing spots at like 2:30 a.m. in the morning in the village. But one way or the other, I would get on stage. And finally, the casting people at Saturday Night Live saw me and they asked me to come in. And I started getting some inside scoop that they were really looking at me. They thought that I fit the mold for what they were trying to cast at that point, which I knew in my gut. I was like, wow, if I go in there and I can, level the joint, then I think I have a real opportunity to make this happen. Did I feel ready? No, I knew I was not ready. I was still wet behind the ears. Did I feel confident that I could go there and fight the political fight to get your sketches and skits on in that first 30 minutes? No. So I sat in front of Rockefeller Plaza and I had a bit of a breakdown. I had kind of an anxiety attack, maybe even a panic attack. And I sat on that bench and I didn't go. I didn't go into the audition. And I called my manager and I said, I'm not going in. I can't do it. And he said, man, this is a big, big miss. This is a big loss. I said, in the long run, I don't think it'll be that. I said, because if I go in there, they're going to chew me up and spit me out. I have no fight in me. I don't know how to defend myself yet. I'm funny on stage, but I still am lacking a lot in the ability to stand up and speak up for myself. And I knew a few people on the show, and that show was intense behind the scenes. You had to be very brave, very courageous, and you had to fight to get those skits on. And I didn't have that fight yet. So I passed on it, spent a lot of years on the road looking back, thinking, man, did I miss my moment? And then I was at the Vegas Comedy Festival when my second album came out. I charted number 4 on the Billboard charts next to Jay-Z. My phone rang in my hotel room. And when I picked it up, they said, we have Lorne Michaels for you. I said, no way. He got on the phone and he goes, you're hosting. And I ended up hosting Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
so don't ever. I try to tell people, listen, it's not failure. It's not always I missed and I screwed up and it's never going to work out. It's sometimes all the data you need is in that failure to later on look back and go, that's exactly the detour that I needed because it sent me toward my finish line.
That's an incredible story. I felt the same way when they called and said, Rick Macy wants to do a show with you. And I was like, really? And after all those years of passing up the tennis tour, I finally got my shot here on Game Set Life. Who'd have thought we'd bring on the funniest man on earth himself, Dane Cook. I can't wait to do more with you, Dane. You have such a vision and such a big heart to go along with that incredible brain, which most comedians have, but you take it to the next level. I certainly appreciate the time that you've given us. Let's do more. Like I always say, everyone, the incredible Dane Cook and Game Set Life. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David. Throw your mom a big hug for me. Rick, it was a real pleasure, and I look forward to palling around with you guys real soon.
We'll play some Maj together. Thanks.
All right, Maj.
Maj. All right. He's incredible. Dane Cook, keep your eye out for his new documentary. And Above It All is already out on a lot of different platforms. I had a little miss there, but I do my best to get through these notes and remember and remind myself of all the greatness that we surrounded ourselves with. Rick, we always like to finish off the show with a little of takeaway of the day. You got backing up the truck. You got the common threads. my game is takeaway for the day. I like everyone to get one takeaway, something to think about, pay attention, and give intention to. What is yours for today?
Well, first off, so many gold nuggets. It's like everybody else. Could you imagine the rejection in his business? We all get rejected, but could you imagine in his business? It's brutal. You know, people, you're always wondering what people are thinking, going out the door, coming in the door. Am I funny? Am I not? You know, and he's had his ups and downs. And I hope they do this documentary because I read his whole story. You know, it's amazing. And here he is back on top, you know, and just perseverance. But I think how he's wired, you can tell that he loves what he does. He has passion, and that keeps him going. And when you have that, it's not over till you say it's over. And that passion has brought him back to the forefront.
Yeah, you know, mine is interesting because this applies, and I'm sure you've seen this in some athletes. There's some people, I'm like you, I have a feeling I'm a toptimist. So there would have been nothing, in no way would I stop myself from going to that SNL audition and telling myself, having a true inventory of self, that I'm not ready. I would have gone and been destroyed because I'm a toptimist, and I would have over-exaggerated my skills, my knowledge, and my desire would have overwhelmed me with a misperception of my own capability. I was just blown away of the wisdom that he had in the patience to say, I'm not ready yet, but I will be. And to have the faith that someday it would all come full circle if he did the work, did his best, learned lessons, and had fun, which Dane Cook has always been able to do. So I was super impressed with, there are some people out there that have a realistic perspective. It's not a quitter mentality. It's a patient, persistent mentality of knowing where you are and what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And I think that's a valuable lesson in business and in life. As I always learn here every Tuesday, my favorite time of the day, with my man, Rick Macci. He's an incredible guru on and off the court. My friend, thank you for your wisdom, for your smile, your love, and your light. It makes my entire Tuesday so bright. The incredible Rick Macci. Thanks for joining me.
To be continued next Tuesday.
You got it, my friend. See you next Tuesday here on Game, Set, Life. Remember, most importantly, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Hit it, Nick.
There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.